My name is MichaelZull, Master's of Science in Technical Communication student at Arizona State University. This presentation will detail a UX case study and implementation project that was completed for TWC544, User Experience Design, the IONS project, or Imagery of Natural Systems. The IONS project originated as a student capstone project for the School of Earth Sciences and Space Exploration. The Code Devils Programming Club volunteered to design the website, and I have signed on to the project as a technical writer and UX designer. The IONS project is a website that allows a user to search for volcanic activity events, and the website will return satellite imagery of ash coverage and vegetation impact surrounding that event, as well as a variety of other relevant associated data. The IONS team provided a critical design review, which detailed the objectives of the project, including functional and technical requirements for the development team, as well as a prototype mock-up of what the team envisioned for the visual layout, which I used for approaching the redesign. As a project that had been in development for close to a year, my first order of business was to acclimate myself to the current progress and goals of the development team. I created a questionnaire to determine the zeitgeist of the project and identify what the developers saw as critical UX issues that needed to be addressed. This project gave me the opportunity to work alongside the development cycle, rather than being an afterthought tacked on to the end of the project. The dev team welcomed my input and gave me access to the project management tools, which I used to pinpoint developer input as to features and UI elements that they had already wanted to implement. The first UX methodology that I utilized was the heuristic markup, where I identified the quality of the current website and where the obvious potentials for improvement lied. With the development in its infancy, there were some major UI issues that needed attention, mainly in the area of data visibility. In my developer interviews and in my own personal research of competing sites, identifying users and how they would use the site was, obviously, imperative and would drive the remainder of my work. Without yet having access to scientists that were familiar with the subject matter, I had to work with estimations from my research and what would appeal to site users in a general way. Researching quote-unquote competitors gave me insight as to how to build off of previous generations of sites that performed the same functions. I did an informal competitive analysis to identify UX issues that benefited or plagued those sites in particular. After initial research and consultation, it was decided that the project would have three possible deliverables: a wireframe that would provide a functional representation of the UX design, a UX case study, part of which you are experiencing at this moment, and the site itself, in hopes that the design of this project would translate into the IONS team website. Sketching is a fantastic tool for quick and effective results, especially in this case where I was trying to accomplish a complete overhaul of the UI and UX experience. Testament to how effective this tool is that my final wireframe mirrored my sketches quite closely, where I worked out design details to manage the technological considerations, but stayed quite close to my original design. Adobe XD, for those uninitiated, is a wonderful tool for creating wireframes. As a somewhat experienced Adobe Creative Suite user, I found this tool to be relatively easy to use and comprehensive in its ability to demonstrate my UX design principles. Instead of worrying about eye candy, as I so often have in my media production career, I was instead able to focus on implementing the UX intentions of the project, utilizing my initial research as a guide. I first and foremost wanted to design the data visualizations in a manner that would help users with increased visibility. As so often happens in the messy world of UX projects, the bottom of mine fell out on me. This became a stark lesson in project management and being adaptable in the face of less than desirable participation from those involved with the project. The website was slated to be connected to satellite imagery at the end of October, but due to staffing and time constraints, the dev team had yet to do so, and the final blow came when the entire IONS front-end project was scrapped. But the show must go on, and I scrambled to assemble a new methodology for user testing and validation. Thanks to a wealth of information from my mentor, fellow classmates, and the literature, I was able to assemble a new user testing system ad hoc that accomplished my goals. User testing came from several generous participants, and despite the time constraints, I was quite pleased that my users consisted of several design majors, tech industry workers, and even an old friend of mine that works for NASA, specifically in earth sciences that pertain to the subject matter of the site. User testing ended up being in the form of a questionnaire that utilized 3 UX methodologies. Black hat testing, where users were prompted to be candid about their dislikes, quick and dirty UX testing, including a navigability exercise, and A/B testing, to compare the initial Code Devils prototype versus my redesigned wireframe concept. User testing yielded positive results. After incorporating features from the developers, user feedback, and the heuristic analysis, the wireframe appeared to address most of the concerns in this preliminary stage, especially with visibility of data and navigability, my initial concerns. The design concepts implemented and the wealth of experience of my user testing group provided several additional concepts to address in the final revision. The many obstacles I encountered were building blocks to developing an adaptable methodology for UX design, and I consider this project to be a massive success in my development as a technical communicator and designer.